Hello, Kyle Ferroly welcoming you back to video number 4, blind spot number 4, which is our body's nervous system. So when it becomes a problem in our body, it's called the fight or flight response. And that is when our heart speeds up, we have shallow breathing, less oxygen to our brain, tunnel vision, our muscles tense up, and we're in this mode of fear, of panic, of worry. It might be somebody cutting you off in traffic and your blood just races. It might be your boss or an employee not following what you wanted to have happen. Again, think about what happens and we compare it to our unrealistic expectations, irrational beliefs, and negative thinking patterns, and we kind of blow up inside. But we've learned to keep our cool on the outside, but on the inside, we're not. And what happens is it sends a signal to our body to prepare for this threatening battle. Now let's take out all the trivial stressors that we have and talk about something that's a little bit more archaic, like a bear chasing us. Everyone can relate to this. When you get into this mode, the connections to your prefrontal cortex, a part of your brain behind your forehead, are minimized. You're not needing to know how to be empathetic if a bear's chasing you. You don't need to know how to do Microsoft Excel or be politically correct or control your impulses. You need to survive. So this is a good system. Stress isn't actually the enemy, by the way. It's a warning sign that something isn't right. So you either engaged or evoked the stress response when you shouldn't have by thinking something that you shouldn't have, which is a reaction to what happened in your world, or it's something that you really do need to worry about. So you don't want to minimize all stress. Stress is the warning sign. But when you invoke this stress response over and over and over, it becomes a chronic problem, and it's called chronic stress. And most of us just ignore it until the symptoms get too bad. And that's where blind spot number 5 is going to come in, which is traditional medicine. When you go to the doctor and you tell them your symptoms, and symptoms overlap, and you don't know what the heck's going on now because they don't know what's going on because they haven't looked at your brain. They haven't looked inside at your physiology. They may take your heart rate and tell you you have hypertension or something like that, but until it becomes more of a serious problem, they don't do invasive or objective testing on you. They just usually hand you a pill and tell you you're anxious or you're depressed or something like that. If you can't think your way out of the problem and your brain gets involved and your brain sends signals to your body, well, then your body sends a signal back to the brain that says, it's cool, we're still in this survival mode. Don't worry about turning the brain back on. Can you imagine going through the rest of your day with your brain not running right? Can you imagine not being able to make good decisions and have impulse control and be politically correct and be empathetic to others and communicate effectively? Can you imagine having that shut off every day of your life? Well, people do. And that's usually when people make bad decisions. So this blind spot is huge. They keep getting bigger and bigger, it seems, doesn't it? One leads to the next, which leads to the next. So when we're looking at our physiology, we're able to, the solution to this, for another spoiler alert, is the field of psychophysiology. We can teach you how to self-regulate your mind, brain, and body, especially teaching you how to breathe properly, get more oxygen to your brain. And when you're doing that, guess what? You can't stress. You can't worry about your stressors if you're counting. If you're counting in a certain number and counting out a certain number and watching a screen and looking at your vitals on the screen, then you're not doing the work if you're thinking about what's really bothering you. It's like you can't be happy and sad at the same time. You can have intermittent periods of both, but you can have a feeling of happy and sadness at the exact same split second. So what we do is we try to maximize, taking your mind away from what's bothering you and putting it onto something that can help regulate you. So remember, the ones we've covered so far, our environment, we know our mind can have a blind spot, our brain has a blind spot, our body has a blind spot, and in the next one, I have to dance very carefully because I don't want to make anybody upset, but the next video is the blind spot of traditional medicine, which includes my field of psychotherapy and counseling. It includes traditional medicine, and it of course includes psychiatry where people hand pills. So I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks.